Beowulf was optimistic a couple of days ago in Emmerdale that he might finally be nearing the end of a very long and difficult ordeal, but that hope has now faded. In a bid to help Moira Dingle, who is currently in prison, Bear managed to recall a vehicle registration number he had previously hidden for Ray Walters during his time on the farm. Cammy Hadik traced the plate to a storage unit in the heart of Houghton. Racing against time, Aaron Dingle, Paddy Kirk, Mackenzie Boyd and Robert Sugden rushed there in the hope of finding evidence linked to Celia Daniels. To their shock, the team discovered that the unit was packed with unprocessed evidence the police had not yet reviewed. Moira's supporters were hopeful that the material could clear her name, but DS Walsh explained it could not be used in court until officially logged. Fortunately, Kane Dingle arrived at court in time to update Moira on the breakthrough, leading her to enter a not guilty plea. After the discovery of further evidence, Beowulf was taken back in for more questioning. Paddy hoped the investigation team had uncovered something that might also support Bear's case. However, that was not the situation. DS Walsh revealed that documents had been found showing Ray opened a bank account in Bear's name and started depositing money into it. Bear had managed to stay composed throughout much of the investigation and consistently stuck to his version of events, but he occasionally faltered when pressured or overwhelmed by Walsh's questioning. This time, he slipped up, mentioning that Ray had promised to always look after him, which raised suspicions that he knew about the account. Sensing inconsistencies, Walsh suggested that Ray may have been responsible for Celia's murder and began to question whether Bear killed Ray to gain control of the operation. Bear was left shaken, and his growing agitation only strengthened her suspicions. Later, Paddy visited Bear, but overwhelmed by frustration and exhaustion as the police continued to doubt him, Bear lost control of his emotions. The situation escalated to the point where he had to be escorted back to his cell by 2 officers. Has today's episode effectively sealed Bear's fate? Emmerdale delivered a major twist in Moira Dingle's storyline tonight, as Kane Dingle received news that changes everything. Moira has spent much of the year behind bars after being wrongly accused of double murder and human trafficking. However, tonight's episode suggested a dramatic shift in her situation, even as Beowulf's circumstances took a darker turn. Kane received an encouraging phone call and later informed Robert and Aaron that all charges against Moira had finally been dropped, meaning she is now free to return home. Earlier in the week, viewers saw a remorseful Robert, who played a key role in her original arrest, learn that Bear had recalled removing number plates from Ray Walters' vehicle after discovering it covered in blood, before handing them to Celia Daniels to conceal. This discovery triggered a series of events that led to a hidden storage unit being uncovered, filled with IDs, phones, and incriminating documents linked to the criminal trafficking network. However, in tonight's episode, that evidence appeared to work against Bear instead. DS Walsh suggested that he may not have been Ray's victim, but his accomplice, even theorizing that Bear could have killed Ray in order to take control of the operation. A distressed Bear was seen lashing out at prison staff, highlighting how Moira's situation has improved, while his own takes a far more troubling direction. Viewers know that Ray was responsible for Celia's death, and that Bear, who had been forced into the trafficking ring, killed Ray only to stop him from murdering Paddy and Dylan. Meanwhile, upcoming scenes will see Moira looking forward to some long-awaited time alone with Kane, who is struggling with pressure linked to his prostate cancer diagnosis. A village source revealed that Kane is finding the situation difficult, especially with intimacy. Although he and Moira finally get the house to themselves, Kane feels as though everything is too much of a setup. Suspicious and overwhelmed, he ends up storming out after believing Moira may have been discussing him with others. Kane Dingle finally receives the best possible news in Emmerdale, bringing a long-awaited shift after weeks of turmoil. Kane and Moira Dingle's nightmare began back in January when Kane was told by a doctor that he needed further tests for cancer. Things quickly spiraled for the couple when Moira was arrested shortly afterwards for double murder and modern slavery, leaving Kane to face his medical worries alone. During this time, he attended his hospital appointment by himself and learned that he does, in fact, have prostate cancer. Moira later discovered the truth and did her best to support him through phone calls and prison visits. While in prison, Moira made the painful decision to sell her shares in Butler's farm to Kim Tate, believing Kane's health was more important than holding on to it. Desperate for a focus, Kane began working on plans for a Dingle farm with his family, hoping to build something for Moira's return. But uncertainty loomed as police struggled to find evidence proving her innocence in the Celia Daniels case, leaving Moira close to pleading guilty. Meanwhile, Aaron Dingle and Robert Sugden continued searching for anything that could help Moira, while also trying to stop Robert from confessing his part in framing her. With help from Paddy Kirk, Marlon Dingle, and Cami Hadik, they uncovered a storage unit in Houghton, filled with unprocessed documents the police had missed. Kane managed to reach the court just in time to tell Moira about the breakthrough, giving her enough hope to plead not guilty. In tonight's episode, Kane received a phone call confirming that investigators had reviewed all the evidence from the storage unit and concluded that Moira had no involvement in Celia's crimes. As a result, all charges against her have been dropped, and she is finally free to come home. However, despite the celebration, not everything is settled. Robert has been quietly helping Kane around the farm as a way of easing his guilt over Moira's wrongful imprisonment. Kane, unaware of the full truth, shows gratitude toward Robert and even welcomes him into Butler's farm. But beneath the surface, tensions remain. As Kane moves forward with hope and appreciation, a looming secret between him and Robert threatens to explode, setting the stage for more trouble ahead. Emmerdale's Cami Hadik is left feeling extremely nervous next week, as a new romance storyline puts him under pressure. After sharing a kiss with Belle, she is excited to take things further with another date. However, Cami becomes far more anxious than excited when she invites him to a Dingle family gathering for Sarah's baby shower. Cami worries that he will be the main topic of conversation among Belle's relatives. Although the Dingles are not known for being difficult to win over, they are protective of Belle and want her to be with someone who truly deserves her. Cami already has a good relationship with Vinny and Kane, but he is unsure how the rest of the family will react to his growing romance with Belle. The week begins with Belle and Cami enjoying time together at the Hop, where they share a light-hearted game of pool. Their chemistry is clear as they appear completely smitten with each other, enjoying the moment with smiles and playful energy. Emmerdale airs weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is available to stream on ITVX.